Some kind of like world spinning. What a day. What a day. I feel like, do you ever feel like when you're listening to like, you've set your alarms or you listen to a press conference and you just kind of like, your Sunday is taken up waiting for Daniel Andrews to show up. And you're like, is he wearing a Northside jacket? Is he wearing a suit? Oh no, he's wearing a fucking suit. It's going to be some serious
No tie
business.
though. No tie.
Yeah, I think that's because he's, casual. He's kind of like a proletariat.
Still, Sunday daddy. Yeah, that's it.
So, I wanted to start this episode. Obviously, today we are going to be talking about the stage 4 lockdown situation.
Is it officially called stage 4?
Yes.
All right.
They're not calling it like mysterious stage, like weird icon.
3+.
Yeah, it's platform 9 3/4.
3A,
It's kind of like, no, it's just straight up stage 4.
Okay.
So, I wanted to start, I fished out a quote. So many quotes today, so many solid quotes from Daddy Andrews, but there is one quote in particular that struck out to me as being particularly alarming. This is a public health bushfire. Now, we just went through the bushfires. That's quite alarming imagery.
Literally. No, not literally. Figuratively.
Close by. This is a public health bushfire, but you can't smell the smoke and you can't see a flame. This is very different. It's a wicked enemy. It spreads so fast without people even knowing.
I mean, there are parallels to the bushfire in that it's the pandemic's capacity to do damage has been fostered by government negligence and failing to pay attention to sciences.
And you're still waiting on your fucking money.
And everyone's been promised money and haven't gotten it.
All right, let's do, real quick, I'm just going to do a bunch of like hard stats.
Bang, bang, bang!
Yep, and then we're going to talk about like just some of the key points. 671 new cases today, 7 more dead.
Dang!
Horrible, fuck. Of the current 5,743 active cases, there are now 750 plus mystery cases. Now,
mystery cases.
Yes.
So these are cases where they don't know how they got it.
they don't fucking know.
All right.
They're under investigation, and obviously some Sherlock Holmes motherfuckers are just like deducing what's going on. Obviously there's these ongoing like, hello, it was the app that figured out. It was never the app. The app hasn't helped anybody.
The app's been shit.
No. It's just, they're doing it the traditional way, which is not particularly fast. Obviously.
Who do you know?
Yeah.
Who have you been with?
But it's that thing of like, who fucking remembers? You're just wafting through life in a fucking daze at the best of times, let alone thinking about where you've been, coughing and spluttering on.
Look, everyone's activity has been the same as when they've been busted driving from Wodonga to the city for
Maccas.
for Maccas and stuff. Everyone is picking up drugs. Okay, I'm blowing this wide open. Anyone who said I'm just going to Maccas, I really prefer the coffee and Flinders
I want to do my
Street."
exercise in Springvale.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Every one of these people was picking
drugs.
up drugs.
It's
So
drugs.
you were angry, thinking they drove all the way for a hamburger? You idiot. Their excuse was perfectly rational and reasonable. They were trying to get drugs.
Now, I have to say that I did look at the new guidelines that they've printed with all the changes. So the Victorian government will link the resource below, but the Victorian government has done a series of changes and none of them did reference whether drugs were acceptable or not. So we'll have to chase up some follow-up about that, whether you can go out of that 5-kilometer radius, which we'll get to in just a second.
Well, you got to say, I'm here for the purposes of care, because I care about drugs.
Okay, so another thing that sounds really dramatic, and I think we're going to learn more about what that means in the coming days, is a state of disaster has been declared for Melbourne from 6 p.m. tonight, which means in Daniel Andrews' words, Daddy Andrews, this means the police and others, who knows who those others are, maybe like butchers, I don't know. But the police and others have additional powers. We can suspend various acts of the parliament and make sure we get the job done.
So what that means is PSOs can actually hold you down and force you to deep throat their walkie-talkie.
Finally. I'm looking for a little bit of violence in my day-to-day existence. Good. You cannot go further than 5 kilometers from home for basically any fucking reason. So anything you need to do your shopping. There's already that meme circulating of people making sure that their local Dan Murphy's is within 5 kilometers. But honestly, when we lived in the city for 10 years, I think you'd be hard pressed to be in a position within the CBD that you couldn't get whatever you needed within 5k, or unless you live in what?
Well, I mean, look, this bubble extends all the way to the Yarra Valley, and a lot of those places, no, there isn't a supermarket within 5 kilometres. You've got to go 10 or 15.
You talk about there's one on the main street.
Like there is a glorified milk bar, but that's not the same as a super. Like if you had to do all your grocery shopping at the corner store, your wallet's getting fisted every time you go in there. Bag of rice, $4, but of course.
But it's about the limitation of movement.
Oh, I understand the limitation of movement, but they've applied this saying
deliveries, right?
Yes.
Well, okay, so we live on the eastern side, just outside of the zone, and there are towns like, I think Bunyip is maybe the last one that's in, and Bunyip is rural as fuck. And that's a rural
Well, yeah, you
town.
could easily live within that bubble and be over 5Ks away from a supermarket.
Yeah.
So it's like, I see where they're coming from, but I in terms of practical application, it's not going to work.
In argument to that there is a common sense approach, right? Which sounds good in theory. Oh, sure, we're going to use common sense. But obviously when then you've also simultaneously got a state of disaster declared and additional powers, I think we've yet to see how this works. But again, I think the ultimate thing to keep in mind is to be in the spirit of stopping the pandemic,
Yes.
right? So sure, there's a million ways to get around it, and let's come back to the figures and we can talk about this at the end, but like, maybe just think about what's better for everybody.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
just-
All that sort of caveat
Yeah.
farming isn't being done in the spirit of the rules.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go back to some of the new rules, stage 4, and then we'll get to regional Victoria, which is always second class.
Yeah, cow fuckers.
So no recreational activities other than once a day, and 1 hour maximum, and no more than 2 people outside the household.
All
There's
right,
a $1,600 fine. So I think that is quite a severe shift. Whereas I feel like people have been able to go for 1 hour a day. That sounds very prison-y.
It is a bit
Quite
yard
prison-y,
time, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, out of solitary confinement.
But do you
walk
think
around in a
it's-
square for an hour.
Again, because so many people are pushing those rules to be like, well, I have to go to the row club for 17 hours.
It's you
a day.
motherfuckers took the piss, and now we're in even more trouble. Thanks,
Don't
jerks.
shout. No one's happy about this. This is all very intense. Theoretically, for 6 weeks, we do it super hard, and then maybe no virus? We'll see.
Always doing it super hard.
Well, that's weird. Maybe you should just like
Take
ease
it
up.
easy.
Take it easy.
So this is the 6-week mega lockdown that we should have fucking had 3 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do. I mean, honestly, we should have just. I feel like maybe what happened, and this will come to light, I'm assuming, in time. But did Daniel Andrews get like peer pressured into helping the economy first over people, and then let us out of lockdown before community transmission was at an acceptable rate? And now here we are.
I suspect if Dandrews had his druthers, he would have
Dandrews?
sat on all of us like an aggressive big brother until we capitulated.
I want him to sit on me,
for
please.
6 weeks, and that would have been it. But he was forced to open up the economy and threatened with low job seeker and all that sort of shit until he went along
Just
with it.
like suck my asshole. It's good. I'm glad we're locked down, honestly.
Lock me down harder.
Yeah, come on.
Stand on my fucking neck.
All right. So that was again the 1 hour limit.
Yep. So golf's out, rowing's out, all that bullshit.
Yeah,
You can basically
just
go for a brisk walk.
Fucking walk within your neighborhood.
Can't hang out with others.
Yeah, it's
2 people maximum for
Yeah.
that sort of outdoor.
And again,
bullshit.
just the caveat of like, oh, it's not your fucking gag live children or whatever the fuck you've got to carry outside with you. Like, obviously, again, the common sense approach. So there are no cautions. So that's the extension of those rules, where it's like there's no cautions and warnings for people who test positive for COVID. And then they are found not in isolation. They can get an instant fine of $1,600 and up to $10,000 in court fine. So this is the extension of he's like, there will be more people knocking on doors. So if you ain't home, you're gonna be fucked, cunt. Honestly, it sounds
You
like,
should be fucked. If you get a
fuck
positive diagnosis, even if you think the
Where
virus
are
is
you
bullshit, and you
going?
go out, you are a cunt.
like, where are you going? Who are these people?
Well, again, there's the argument that people in marginalised employment have no choice but to go out because they get no sick pay.
Hey,
Shit, and
they've
they
got that
pay rates of
$300 payment now. That will take care of them for a good 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, there's just in line behind everyone who's waiting for their bushfire payment. But sure,
God.
yeah, that'll pay the rent tomorrow. But yes, I understand that could be a reason why some people are out and about. But also, some people are just flouting it. And to you people, I say, I will pull your face off.
Ooh, there's some heavy threats. All right, so they have stated very specifically that this will have no impact to food stores and the, food security, supermarkets and butchers. So, right, all of those sorts of shops, like there's another set of announcements coming tomorrow, which we'll report on hopefully, but specifically supermarkets, butchers, etc., that's going to be fine.
And he's got announcements about supply chains.
You can
and shit
still
as well.
order takeaway food from restaurants that are able to stay open. However, simultaneously, Woolworths has just announced buying limits, and there is reports, like a lot of reports of panic buying already sweeping Melbourne. And obviously there's images you see of people at like Costco and Woolworths trying to like get in and buy a bunch of stuff. So I'm assuming we will see empty shelves for the first few weeks of this until it fucking chills the fuck out again.
The joke's on them. Every time I'm buying, I'm panic buying. Even if it's just a simple case of looking at 2 things, neither of which are on
Stress.
special, and just
Ketchup ketchup.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Ketchup.
Everything I buy is in a state of panic because I never know when the next dollar is coming from.
Because you're idling at 75.
I am idling at 75!
Oh, it's a very distressing living with you.
Sorry.
Childcare and kind of stage 4 restrictions during the coming week only for children of essential industry workers or children at risk. Stage 4 school restrictions means that basically everybody's back to remote learning except for people who have to fucking be taken care of.
It almost feels like the phase out of these restrictions was a total waste of time.
Well, I mean, we'll put the amount of time that they were, like, when they first came in hard and when they came out hard in the thing, but I don't think it's maybe been like a month.
It was like,
regular.
you could go to the gym for maybe like a month.
Here's the thing, I feel like it's very RPG in that we've made an egregious game mistake where it's like, oh, I should have kept investing in this thing for a bit longer and then I would have put all my points into this one thing and I would have got the better thing.
No, I put all my points on mana and now I can't cast spells anyway!
It's exactly like that.
So
it's very
like
annoying.
that.
So students will return to remote learning from Wednesday. Restaurants and cafes will only be allowed to offer takeaway and delivery. I mean, we're back to that. He had to make the special point that it means that you can still get coffee. All right? All right, it's all of us. We still want our fucking coffees. Fine. Good.
It's important.
Coffee. Beauty and personal services will need to close, as will entertainment and cultural centers.
I was gonna get a haircut!
Sex work never got to open, so everybody's still being blue balled.
We're all just at home jacking off anyway.
Oh, I don't even care anymore. I don't even want to jack off. It's like, what's the fucking point?
There's no future!
Oh, sucks in no future. And while community sport also must stop. They want to stress the point that JobKeeper and JobSeeker payments will continue till September, which is not particularly calming, but sort of calming.
They were talking about mutual obligations were meant to come back from August 4th.
Back to the old gnome payment.
August 4th, that shit was
Obviously
meant to kick
not
off.
for Victoria then. Like, I feel like...
I can't imagine, no, but no official announcements. So everyone head on over to MyGov for that crash fest and find out.
Look forward to being stuck on that horrible, stressful hold music.
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier that there's he stressed very much in the press conference that there's a common sense approach to the rules, while...
Even as he said, you fucking idiots,
Yeah.
common sense.
He didn't though, he held us with a stern hand. It was not like he wasn't angry, but he was disappointed,
He does the blokey, accessible grown-up thing much better than Scott Morrison
He really does. He's not feminine, but he's not masculine.
Well, there's not a try-hard macho-ness.
No, he just
Whereas with
is.
Morrison, he always feels like a rich twat pretending to be a common guy down at the pub.
Oh, 100%.
And it never rings true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No authenticity.
That man never drank a duff in his life.
So we've tried to get a reaction from Twitter, which is probably a terrible idea because I don't know that.
What do the sensible people of Twitter think?
All right, so these are people just commenting on straight up like the ABC's coverage of this. Tom Mitchell says, "Is the ABC reporting on the results of the Andrews virus?" Burn! Thanks, mate.
Nice.
Thanks, Tom Mitchell. A lot of people calling Daniel Andrews a fascist. A lot and a tyrant. So here's an example from NMG Sports. Andrews was elected by the people to govern, not to be a tyrant. He is a traitor to Australia. Shutting down the state on the deaths of older people is a major overreaction. The social vandalism he has created will be far greater than this fraud virus.
He had me until he said, they're doing all this stuff just because old people died. It's like, motherfucker, you will all be old one day, and I guarantee you will want to live. Moreover...
So the state government just released a tweet, I think today, saying there's something like, I'll put the correct number here, but X amount of people
under 40
who are in the fucking hospital on ventilators and in ICU.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And also, why have we got this weird ageist idea where it's totally fine for old people to die? 70, who cares? 60, you haven't even fucking retired yet. Do you know anyone who's 60? They are like basically 50-year-olds who are basically 40-year-olds who are basically 30.
I mean, any of that sort of, you gotta make tough decisions, try hard,
Cunts who have never led shit.
Shapiro-esque,
Yeah.
hardline
I
stuff.
like facts, only facts.
I want to let you know, you are a soft weakling who doesn't know what he's talking about,
The shriveled
who
dick.
is doing tough talk in absence of consequence and understanding. You're not fooling anyone. If it was your mother, you would drop to your knees and cry like everyone else, so fuck off.
Yeah. We just need compassion, and I think ultimately it sucks. It fucking sucks. I think 6 weeks of hard lockdown has to happen. Again, today on our beautiful sunny street in country Victoria, 20, 30 people just walking around, no masks.
It was just bunyips and wombats and yowies just standing around
Walking
with no
around.
masks on. Respect the rules, Kangaroo Creek gang!
Who's that?
don't know.
Very specific.
That's one of my many subliminal deep cuts that I put in there for my 40 plus audience. Kangaroo Creek Gang represent. Dolomite suck! All right, what next?
Well, look, that's the rundown. I think we basically want to make sure that you are all doing okay because this is fairly fucking stressful for Victorians. And I love
If you're thinking of killing yourself or your family, let us know in the comments below.
I also feel like there's a thing of like, do you know people from interstate who are like, oh my God, like coming to check in on you? We are with you, interstate Australians, but also please don't come here.
Especially Victorians who fled. My sister fled across the border, Crackerjill, sucked her way through security. They didn't even stop her. So she's having a great time up north. But the rest of us are stuck down here. It's a disaster.
I still feel like it's my home and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Like, those other states are full of assholes.
All my stuff's here.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we're a disgusting, virusy, sickly, disgusting state, but honestly, it's fine. It doesn't feel that bad.
We came from flea-ridden convict stock anyway. It's business as usual.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. Wear a mask.
Don't panic. Stay cool.
Maybe do panic and buy some rice, but other than that, you're probably fine. And we'll report on tomorrow's update tomorrow because this seems to change very quickly.
And we have the work rules,
Yeah.
which of course will pay close attention to what is required for wrestling to come back, which is what we're all worried about.
You've got to keep the priorities in order. Anyway.
The incredibly lucrative wrestling industry pouring money back into the economy.
Good night and good luck.
It's going to be fine.